What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of the Bomb Comm. I hope you guys are having a good day today. Today we're going to be seeing a gameplay of a league play match. We actually started 3v4, went down by a lot, and then brought it back. So I hope you guys enjoyed this gameplay video. And yeah, the topic of conversation today is pretty much a guide for aspiring pro gamers. Pretty much all the people out there that have recently gotten into competitive gaming or have been at it for a little while now and can't seem to figure it out. Pretty much I'm going to be giving you the steps that I took and that I feel very necessary to be a professional pro gamer and the Call of Duty side of things, obviously, because we can't really compare other games and such. But for Call of Duty, pretty much it goes as the following. Step 1, strong will to make it to the top. If you start off and you don't have the will and the urge and pretty much the right mindset as a startup to actually want to make it to the top, then, I mean, you're not going to make it up there. It's simple as that. Just like anything in life, you have to be pretty much wanting and you have to be committed to what you want to do, and you have to go for it. So definitely the first and most important step is a strong will in actually doing it. So to all players out there, if you actually kind of like are considering doing it and not 100% sure, you have to decide and you have to go for it fully if you're going to do it. The second step is dedication and sacrifices. As an individual and myself, I had a lot of sacrifices to do when I first started playing video games. There's a lot of things that I wasn't able to do anymore when I had to commit to practice and such and commit to actually getting better at the game. I had to put in a lot of time in, which is where dedication comes in as well. So it's really important if you're actually trying, like, I'm not saying do it for a full year before it works or not. Like, it comes to a point where a certain individual has to realize that if he sees he has it or not. It's not meant for everyone out there. It's just like any sport in life. There's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily make it to where they wanted to make it. But if you're an aspiring player and you want to make it to the top, you have to at least try. And first thing you have to do is dedicate yourself to trying fully and actually doing it a good amount. So when I say fully, I'm not saying drop everything, school, job, everything out there. When I first started playing COD 4 and I started competing, I was in school full time, which is 40 hours a week. Actually 35 hours, excuse me, and I was working part-time on the weekends. So pretty much the only time I had to game really was like on weeknights and after I work on the weekends. So it's not like I gamed an incredible amount, but the time I used to play the game was actually well-used time. So the next step is having the right attitude. When I say having the right attitude is being a positive person, being someone that's not constantly getting aggravated playing a game, something that's really important when you first start up. You'll notice that a lot of pro players get aggravated when they stream and such, and that comes within a few years of the game. You kind of like expect something out of the game, and sometimes when you don't get it, it's kind of frustrating. So, but at the very start of your competitive career, you shouldn't really get aggravated. You should be like really positive about everything, being really thankful to actually try doing what you're doing. Like it's almost like you should be. I'm trying to find the right words here, but pretty much be happy of what you're trying to do. It's almost like being like jolly almost. It's really like the more positive and the more good you are about your attitude, the better and easier it will be to make it to the top. If you're a player that's constantly aggravated, that's really mad at everything, and like if you're a player that's pretty much mad at life, it's going to be really hard to do a lot of the steps to actually get there, and like pretty much finding teammates to start off with is going to be one of your hardest steps if you don't have the right attitude. So something that really a lot of players out there are lacking, in my opinion, a lot of AM players, and really have to get to the top. It's really understanding where you are as a player and having the right attitude about it and always being positive and trying to grow. So that's the third step. The fourth step in my guide is using your time wisely. This includes watching videos, watching streams, and all that stuff. It's not always about playing. You can play the game as much as you want, but when it comes down to it, you're going to learn more off watching someone that's already knowing how to do it rather than playing it yourself. I mean, that's obviously not saying everyone, because I mean, a lot of people out there just start off and understand how things work and are almost gifted, almost to say. So it comes to a point where there's always certain players, certain individuals that will not really have to watch videos and watch streams, but it always helps. There's always things you can learn off watching professional athletes do what they do at the top level of competition. Just like any sports in life. If I'm a hockey player, I'll watch like top hockey players do what they're doing, and I'll try to kind of replicate what they're doing and trying to replicate their form, how they're doing it, and trying to do it as good as they do it. So it kind of comes down to the same level for Call of Duty. It really comes to the point where pro players do it the teams that are winning do it better than everyone else. So why not try and go off what they're doing and understanding that? That's something that I personally did not have when I first started competing. There was no such thing as really streaming. There was very rarely, I mean, there was YouTube, but I mean, it was barely any pros doing YouTube, and like none of the pros did like stuff like the TLR series I'm doing or stuff like that, where you can actually learn off things like videos they're making. Pretty much it came to the point where back when I started, it was purely playing the game and trying to understand. I spent some time watching pro players do it when I played against them and such. So like it's very lacking back then. But now you have so many outlets that allow you to learn the game and teach yourself quicker than anything else how to do it correctly. The next step, the fifth step, is learning to accept and use constructive criticism. This is super important. This is probably the most important part, is understanding that you're not the best player to start off with. There's so many players out there that think they're already ready for like a Team Envious or a Team Optic or Impact or Complexity. Players that feel like they already have the top level of competition without even competing in any events yet or anything like that. It's really, and it's kind of mind-boggling to us pros sometimes that amateurs think that they're already good enough to be at the top level, because there's so much that we've went through and that we've been through that we feel like there's so much players can learn off other pros and such. And it really comes to a point where if you have a player on your team or if someone is willing to help you, just take the criticism. You can choose to accept it or not accept it. There's so many things that that some people out there will try and teach you that are most likely sometimes not right, sometimes they're right, and it's really for you to choose and to decide which part of what someone's trying to help you with to decide to keep or not to keep. So, but it's really important to actually take the criticism, not reject it. A lot of players out there that I've actually tried to help before, and they're literally to the point where I would somewhat teach them and trying to help them what they're doing, but they were really like reject it really quickly, either not care about it or either listen and then just not do anything about it. So it really comes to a point where if you're able to use the constructive criticism that someone is trying to help you with, and you're able to add it to your gameplay, and it's something that you feel works, then more the better. Then it's going to make it that much quicker for you to get to the top level. The sixth step that we're going to be talking about is the right team. And when I say right team, it's having similar goals and dedication and like pretty much the will to make it. Like pretty much step 1, step 2, and step 3 all together. It's pretty much the right team is having the strong will to make it to the top, the dedication and sacrifice, and the right attitude. The perfect example is Team I2 that first made it out on this game, and that started on Modern Warfare 3. It was Mosh, Funk, I forgot the other two players. Sorry, they were a good team though. They made it out on the Frat Cup, but pretty much they started playing Modern Warfare 3. They were awful. They were really, really bad. But they were all 4 players that invested the time, that had the right attitude and had dedication and had the will to make it to the top. It was pretty much 4 players with decent skill level on Modern Warfare 3 that put the time in Black Ops 2 and got incredibly skilled and incredibly strong and made it to, as a team, made like a top 5, or they made a really strong push in the Frat Cup. So something that that pretty much made it from 0 to hero. That was like one of the quickest come-outs that I've seen coming out from Modern Warfare 3 to Black Ops 2, and it was really quick. Like they went from like a really mediocre team to a really, really strong team really quick. So props to them. And something that I feel like everyone should be looking out for is really like when you look for teammates, never really look for teammates that are as good. Like you want to look for teammates that are as good as you, but never like pretty much like set your standards for as far as skill when you look for a team. Your first team should always be a team that is strongly dedicated, is willing to win, and is willing to do what it takes to win and be dedicated. Because those are really the main things that will make a team stick together, and the team that will grow faster than anything else. It's fine if you're playing with players that are good, but if the player's good and isn't really put the time in or doesn't want to get to the top, then at some point you're not going to be playing with that player anymore. You're not going to learn much from it with him. So something, example, like me and Big Timer, we started off and we were playing with so many different teammates, but me and him were kind of like the duo where we had the same goals and aspirations to make it to the top. So then the next step is winning is teaching, losing is learning. That's something my quote, pretty much my main quote. Losing is good. If you have a set team, and you lose a lot, pretty much learn from it. Don't take it as a negative aspect. Learn from your losses. If you lose and you don't learn from it, then you're not doing it right. It's simple as that. You have to lose before you win. Everyone has lost before they won. It's simple as that. Nobody goes into the competitive scene and wins their first event. It's so rare that teams do that, and you'll compete a good amount of time online before you get to that. But regardless. And the last step, I want to be talking very shortly is social media. When you get to a point where you feel you have the team, what it takes, and you have the possibility of making it out on a level, start doing social media. Start being respectable on Twitter. Start doing YouTube videos with your teammates. Let people know who you are. The same thing with Twitch. Try and stream. Even if you don't have a lot of viewers, the more the better. Once you start getting out there and once you start making it out to the top, you're going to be recognized as a strong player, and then people are going to be using your social outlets to stay in touch with you. So that was pretty much for my guide today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, don't shy out on asking. And as always, guys, have a good day. Peace.